Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to F1 Manager 24. It's episode number 8. We are going to go ahead and restart the series. First off, I actually did record another episode, a would-be episode number 8, as I was trying to speed through the remainder of the season, and inevitably, in the end, we were fired. There was absolutely no avoiding it. I did manage to make it through financially. I did get some progression in the car and research into the car for the next year. I did have a couple staff members poached away, lost our reserve drivers, but otherwise everything was going well, with one key exception. A string of 16th, 17th, or 18th place finishes was not enough to save our job. The consistency of those finishes was good for making the extra money, which made us survive. But what it was not good for was actually beating any other teams. Despite finishing that high up the grid, only 3 times in the second half of the season did we manage to beat at least one team, as in beat both drivers of said team. Only once. With all those finishes, all but maybe one race, we had a car at least 18th place. It just didn't pan out to where we could beat both drivers of a team. Over and over and over again, we were one spot behind one Alfa Romeo while we were ahead of the other. And we were 2 spots behind Haas with the second driver further behind us. We would often finish ahead of one Alpine. We would often finish ahead of one car that DNF'd that would normally be higher up the grid. It just never quite worked out for us. And only a single time did we manage to beat 2 teams in the second half of the season and get a 9th place. The biggest obstacle that we faced in the season, of course, was the financial shortcomings. And even though I made it and survived that, we just were not able to get enough progression. So here we are with the reset, starting once again. 2 drivers right at an 80 and young, so plenty of potential to develop. And we are going to save 22 million in salary. Also, staff salaries are a little bit lower, and our staff is a little bit weaker this time around. So in the end, we are probably going to be saving about $25 million in the coming season. We already know how to survive and make it through, keeping the finances just about going. I cannot dump that $25 million into the facilities, though. I need to, like that first attempt, dump 6 to 10 million into the facilities, but I need to be dumping the rest into the car because the settings are going to be identical. The only difference this time around is the 25 million better off that we will be in the finances, which means we should have a positive monthly balance. The second thing will be how I approach the sponsors, and realistically, after they fixed it, we could take any approach. They have fixed sponsorships, so the money up front is not required this time around. We'll see what the options that come along are. Now into the playthrough, and a week and a half from our first race of the season. It's not much time to get the car where it needs to be, which means we're going to need some time. We're going to need to put a few races into the rearview mirror before we are going to get a bit more competitive. But there are some things that are coming quickly that can at least help us start to spend money, because we are once again starting with just $2 million. But with the decreased staff costs, here is that confirmation that we have flipped the script. Quite literally flipped. We've mirrored. Our deficit was 1.1 million monthly. Now we have a positive balance of almost 1.1 million. Once again, team marketability is quite low. Odekoven is a plus 120, starting higher than what we had with the other 2. I need to open our drivers here. And where are you from, Miss Vintar? That's wild. I just realized this game has 0 reference to home nations of any of the drivers or staff. We're going to go with Ute Winter. I'm pretty sure it's a Scandinavian or Germanic, at least, name, so we'll go with the V sound. Anyway, so Winter and Odekoven both coming in at 80. Winter is 23 years of age. Otokoven is 19. So plenty of potential to hang on to each of them long term. And with the identical overall ratings of 80, development rate is very high. Otokoven max development rate. Well, I've never seen that before. Aggression is low for Winter, but it's high for Otokoven. They both have same cornering. Otokoven a little bit better in braking. Control goes to Winter. Smoothness identical. Adaptability almost identical. Overtaking slight advantage for Otokoven, and defending and reactions, while identical on accuracy. So it looks like Otokoven is a little bit better. -4 on control, but otherwise same or slightly better in every single attribute. And the higher development rate gives Otokoven a real advantage in just 19. So each of them have 2-year contracts and combine for just shy of $15 million in salary. At this stage anyway, healthy buyout fees that should hopefully keep the other teams away. Our 2 best staff members are the race engineers, and they each have multi-year contracts as well. Looking at the rest of the staff, okay, they've done the same thing that we had on the last one, of each of them having 1-year contracts. We need to get them re-signed as soon as possible before they get poached away. Though with some lower ratings, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem, except for potentially with Mercado. Once again, we come in well below grid average on car comparison. Our top speed is nearly 2 kilometers an hour off of grid average, not even off the top end, off average. We are 1/100th, there you go, 1/100th off on acceleration. DRS is 14% below. We 0.13 off on low speed. We are 0.12 off on medium speed, and we are 0.14 off on high speed. We are way off the top end of the grid. Dirty air tolerance is 13%, 7% off on tire preservation. Engine cooling is 9% off. That feels significantly off of what we saw last time. I think we were a bit closer last time to grid average. We already know that Kicksauber is the weakest team in game, and they have half a kilometer. They have 0.012 on acceleration, 5% on DRS, 0.02 on low speed, less than 0.01 on medium speed. High speed is 0.003, so just barely above us. 1% above in dirty air tolerance. We are 7% better on tire preservation, and almost identical on engine cooling, just a few tenths of a percent ahead. That's the team we're going to be looking to beat on a consistent basis this season, and right now we just don't have it. We definitely don't have it, but with some low speed, I'd say, improvements, and some top speed improvements, I think we can start to consistently beat one team. And if we can finish 10th, I'm pretty sure that's going to be enough to save our job. I know we're still going to be playing with a relatively tight budget, so our first upgrade is going to come down to putting all the hours in, getting a maximum upgrade, and using the rear wing. Our top speed is atrocious. That is one of our biggest problems. Cornering is obviously an issue, but to beat Sauber, to beat Kicksauber, to beat that one team, the major deficit, right? We were a little behind in all the cornering areas, but not by far. One area where we were significantly behind them was top speed, and behind everybody by a huge margin. So we are going to do a rear wing with a massive 20% gain in drag reduction to that rear wing, and that is going to give us an extra 2/5 of a kilometer an hour. That is a massive gain right there. That's our start point. Sponsor I'm going to go with this time around, $44.9 million for Arcor, preference in VIP activities, 2-star sponsor, just shy of $20 million up front, which obviously gives us a big boost now. The engagement piece is 9.3 million over the course of the year, so it's not a ton of additional. A lot of it is race day funds, 16.5 million of it, but performance reliance is low, meaning it's actually going to be on the easier side to collect those race day bonuses. The other key option that I was looking at with possible higher 3-star 51 million overall upfront, first off, was less. Engagement was way higher, but the race day was also a little higher. But the big thing here was performance reliance is high instead of low, meaning we need good results. We know already that good results are not something we're going to score very often. So realistically, you can subtract most of the race day winnings that we would be getting, and then realistically, you're looking at just 30 million. Here, you're already looking at guaranteed 20, nearly 10 additional, so there's your 30, but also 16 million in race day. And with low performance reliance, we should be able to get much of that 16 million, and I think ultimately this will score more for us. With 5 additional sponsors signed on, our upfront rises to 28.7 million, the engagement rises to 29.3, and the race day performance reliance increased a little bit, but we're up to 21.4 million on race day funding, with a total potential sponsorship funding of 79.4 million this year. So our first sponsor plan includes a mandatory event, but that mandatory event's going to bring us $8 million. And then the engagement piece with a maximum of 3.66 million. As I'm already learning, you want to start to bank in the early sessions some engagement for extenuating circumstances. So you exceed the target, that's okay. This number carries over into the next window. At the end of the season, you can get right on where you need to be and not have to do as much. So we're going to front load a little bit, but that is set to bring us 11.86 million in this first engagement period in 6 weeks. And just like that, a week in, 5 days before our first race, we are already up to 28.9 million, and we have nothing to make our balance go negative except for car components. And if I play my hand close like I did last season with, maybe spending on like one engine or something when necessary, and hopefully we don't have to, and we can kind of squeeze out some results just to keep our job in year one. Year one is retain the job. Now the finances shouldn't be anywhere near as bad, because instead of losing that billion every month, we're going to gain $1 million. That's 2 million. That's a positive balance of 2 million monthly, and we just got a much bigger haul up front than we did the last time, and yet we're still seeing the engagement side produce more funding than what we did previously. We're in a much better financial state, can afford to invest a bit more in the facilities than we did last time, but we're definitely going to start on the operations side to get some things going for us, in particular the tour center and the weekly income. We want that very quickly. The helipad and team marketability and attractiveness and sponsor target payouts going higher. We definitely want to get that. Team marketability is definitely going to come with some, the hospitality area is definitely going to come with the team marketability and attractiveness. It's $1 million, but this time we are going to do it. We did not do it last time. Memorabilia also is going to come with some team marketability and is only 440k, so we're going to do that one. So this is already 2 things we were not able to construct last time. The weather center is nice forecast, but it's not something that's going to help us. The boardroom, we didn't do it all last time. We're not going to do much. The team attractiveness bonus, we don't want to get into the expenses of this, but the race confidence gain, that's going to do a lot to help us keep our job. So 400k for that one. Money, that's expensive, but very necessary. We're not going to add to the scouting department. The weekly development for drivers, the race simulator, how much are you? 1 million. Agree. Team hub includes staff development, 800k. I'm only going to take level 1, but these are all things I could not access last time, and here we are for 2.5 million getting into 3 facility upgrades that we could not do before. This stuff though gets expensive fast, and I don't know if we can do anything with this one. Yeah, 10 million per upgrade. We don't have that kind of money to spare, so no car development upgrades in year 1. Board is still seeking a 9th place finish. 10th will easily help us keep our job, so we really just need to beat out that one team. We need to consistently beat Kicksauber. Memorabilia upgrade number 2, 586,000. We're going to take it. And the helipad upgrade number 2, 320,000. We're going to take that one as well. Initial car post Bahrain testing results. We are last in top speed, as we figured. Acceleration is actually 19th, and we know that we are actually just behind Kicksauber, so that means somebody else is even behind that. But DRS effectiveness, all cornering aspects are last, but tire preservation and engine cooling are at least competitive with the back end of the grid. Good news on our race targets for the coming season is it's essentially identical to what we were dealing with, at least in terms of positions. 18th, 20th, and 21st. Payouts for the most part are similar to what we had in that last playthrough. It was 500k at the top end. It was 2 and 300k here, so it's actually a little bit higher. It's a little more weighted. I think we could probably manage to get the first race. I'm going to control it. I'm going to, if I aim for both at 20th and higher, that's a problem. First race. Let's take it easy. 21st.
This is it. 22 cars on the grid. And it's lights out and away we go.
All right, we are racing for the first time in our reset playthrough, already at the back of the grid. Different names, but same thing. I mean, our drivers are very similar to what we had. This isn't going to be drastically different. What we don't know, though, is the car's competitiveness compared to the last one. We knew we were always at the back of the grid, but how close was it? I don't recall just how close was it. Of course, I only had 4 upgrades the entire year, and then 2 research projects. And that was our 100% year. They did not take the aggressiveness here, and that's a little bit of a problem in this first race, as we are lagging behind Otakoven, currently following Vinther. We'll see if Otakoven can hang in there. Otakoven's a bit of a mouthful to say. It's not too hard for me, but it can be a tongue twister. Vinther pushing on, trying to regain some ground, but we're going to go pretty quickly through the first part of the season and see if we can get the car development side much further along than what we were able to do in that initial playthrough, and see if we can lessen those struggles. So now we're going to get our push from Otakoven. Yeah, suddenly just over 1 second behind. So pushing on is bringing us back up into a competitive position. Skazli, of course, Kicksauber is the main one I'm after, but Alpine looking pretty weak, at least on his first track. Inside DRS range, but after the detection zone. So back out to 1.2. All we needed to do is finish ahead of 1 car today to get our 400k. Still want to collect those bonuses when and where possible. They are still necessary. We're still going to need spare components, and we're still going to need to pump out whatever upgrades we can. We were green the last time. I flipped the color scheme this time so we don't get confused between us and Kicksauber, who of course I forgot had switched to their own green, their own lime green this year. and it was a bit confusing, so I just flipped the colors. And right now, we are about a second off the back here, moving along 10 laps in. Things going well, other than we are a bit light on the fuel. Not looking good for Odekoven. Winter's looking alright, but Odekoven has never quite recovered on the overheating factor. Engine's still running hot as well. I am bringing both cars down pit road right now. We've got a little bit of a gap. Hopefully there's no mistake on the first one. 2.84, and Odekoven comes in without delay. 4.7 though. So we do have a mistake on our very first pit stop. And Ocon already having a technical fault here in the first race. Odekoven out onto the mediums. Well, Winter is on another set of softs. We are once again at the back of the grid, though, after this pit stop. We have been undercut by a couple of cars there. We are now 5 seconds behind Gasly, who we were right up behind. So on this second stint, yeah, not a big fan of the ground that we lost there, pitting a couple laps after some of the other cars ahead of us, or one lap after some of the cars ahead of us. They absolutely undercut us on that one. And we are looking at a pretty sizable gap now to those guys that pit early. Odekoven also on the verge of getting lapped. Something very frequent in the year one version of the cars. They really have gaps between the quality of this car and that car. And Odekoven, once we do get lapped, we're going to have a bit of a problem on our hands with that one. The blue flags are going to really hold us back. It's going to be quite a long time before other cars encounter those blue flags. It's Norris who leads, by the way. Verstappen slingshots with Odekoven and moves into the race lead. Cheeky little move there. Odekoven already 4 cars have gone by with the blue flags. Sainz also not far behind, and then all the way back to Hamilton or Russell or Ricciardo. It's just a constant stream of cars. It's going to get problematic real soon, as it is for Winter here, who's trying to stay away, but Norris is just getting closer and closer and closer. Meanwhile, we're only 8 seconds behind everybody, but if we pit, or if we get overtaken and blue flagged, and then they don't, by the time it comes around to pitting, we're not going to be in contention at all, and there come those blue flags. Odekoven still ahead of Piastri. Only Perez has gone by at this point, but that next 3 cars are quite close. Perez into the pits, so second pits are coming. We really need that lead trio to get up to Zhou and Gasly and Sargent and Bottas before pitting to give us a chance here. Otherwise, we are just straight up screwed today. Odekoven letting that next 3 go by, and Perez is suddenly in that no man's land in between. Second pit stop of the day, third pit stop of the year by the team in total. Winter switching to the mediums, 2.71 on that stop. Odekoven will stay out there a while yet. Even after the pit stop, Winter is still ahead of Odekoven. Odekoven with a 2.621 quick stop there. And that is the last of our first round of our first race worth of pit stops for this season. But Odekoven way out of contention, 25 seconds behind anybody else. Winter is 11 seconds down on Zhou, so we are definitely out there and having an issue. But this is what we needed. It's a crash between cars. Now. Is it the Haas cars collecting each other? It is. Inter-team turmoil. Magnussen getting into the back. He was looking to the inside, tucked back in at the last second, and then got caught up in the braking zone and got into the rear of K-Mag, and yeah, now they both have problems. But No DNF for either. Let's hope for a pit stop or issues. Hulkenberg, 5-second penalty. And dropping down into the pits. Still 7 seconds ahead of us and did serve that penalty. Magnussen also pitting. Each of them carrying faults after that one. But Winter is not ahead of either. And we need Orekoven to be ahead of somebody. Winter is in 21st. Winter will get that 230k. Orekoven right now is the one who is set not to score anything. And with brand new softs, the two Haas cars are driving away. So, yeah, that has not worked out in our favor. Just 4 laps left. With 2.5 laps left to run, I have pushed Winter in every manner possible, but we've already burnt through the spare fuel we had. We've also burnt through most of the battery, but we've already brought it to within 3 seconds. So we've got a chance to maybe beat Shou Guan Yu today. That will not get us ahead of a team unless Bottas suddenly crashes out, but it at least would be something to beat one driver today, right? Final lap, Verstappen leading from Leclerc, Norris, Perez, and Sainz. I still have a lap and a half to go. Orekoven, the only one 2 laps down, 11 cars left on the lead lap. Sonoda, the last one with a chance to score a point today, but he is way behind the Red Bull Juniors. RB, very much out of contention. Top 10 favorites are the top 10. Coming into that last lap now, and you do catch sight of Zhou, but that's 2.5 seconds still ahead. And we used the battery, we used the fuel. I don't see how we can close this down much better as Verstappen claims victory. Orekoven, only just the 2 laps down, about a third of a lap really behind Winter. Deploy whatever we have left in the battery. This is a good time for that. Still a little light on fuel, though I don't think we're actually light on fuel. I think that's if we were running the full 57. We're actually only running 56 because we are, a lap down. Inside 1 second, but there's no more DRS zones, and we didn't get DRS there either. And we're going to need to, just in case, make sure we actually get that last little bit of fuel. We got that close to a competitor in the first race of the season. We weren't able to beat anyone head-to-head. We didn't have quite enough pace to do so, but to see that we were at least able to get that close without any mistakes being registered is good. Orekoven was somehow way off pace today.
Currently on our screen.
We, of course, do not open with a 10th, and Haas, thanks to their crash, they are the ones currently 10th, and Kick Sauber is all the way up in 8th. Beating Bottas from time to time can be a challenge. How many opportunities are we going to get to beat a team? I do think we're going to have better opportunities than we had last time, but that's going to come from car development. So I really think the first 6, 7, 8 races probably going to be a bit of a struggle. Hopefully we can pick things up with the development. 0.5 kilometer an hour, thanks to a new rear wing, is going to make a real dent in our deficit to other teams. But they're going to develop their cars as well, but not with the same intensity that I'm going to put into car parts. One thing that I will do, though, is instead of going 100% all in on one component per period, I'll probably start doing 2 components per period, especially if we still have the finances going for us. As split that up a little bit, you'll get less bang for your buck of the one, but you'll get more overall development in the car out of doing 2 components, even if you're dividing those hours up, because you do get diminishing returns on those hours. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I was listening, I saw the comments, and I did see last time out a lot of you were disappointed. Here's my thing and why I was intent on trying to carry on with the series, as it were, without resetting, was I like the challenge, but the underlying factor is I'm not a quitter. I don't quit, and when I quit, I quit. I tend to, in my own free time, when I play a game, I'll play the game. I will play the full campaign. I will play beginning to end. I will get all the way through. But the moment I stop, I stop. There isn't a reset. I don't go back and go for the replayability except for with a handful of games. And so it's hard for me to reset. For a lot of other people, it's really easy. Things didn't quite go how you wanted to start out, and you just restart, and it's no big deal. You take it as a lesson learned. I'm very much not that type of gamer. I'm all in, and I'm gonna fight through. And if it's not working, I'm moving on to the next game, not just restarting a series. So this is unlike me to restart a series, but I really enjoy this game, and I saw the comments, and it was the comments that influenced the restart. It was also twofold, because I did play all the way till the end of the season. We ended up fired anyway, so I didn't have a choice in the matter. But even then, I had already made the decision before I reached the end of the season. I was just close enough to the end of the season that I went ahead and checked just to see what was going to happen. After I had already made the decision, after I had already finished the recording of the episode that you're watching now, replacing an episode that was already recorded. Anyway, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.